begged him to do one line that I came up with that I thought was the core of Milton's character, which was, and the squirrels, they were married.
I used to be over by the window and I could see the squirrels and they were married.
Which described two squirrels fucking, but that's how he could explain life. I think Milton perceives himself as a perfectionist, and yet his outward appearance is slovenly. If you look on the tie, there's stains all over the tie. Probably the guy has 2 shirts, and he wears them 3 days.
Now, Milton, don't be greedy.
Okay, but last time I didn't receive a piece, and I was told that
Just pass.
Okay.
He's an invisible nuisance that must be tolerated because he's a human on the planet, but it's like one of those guys, and then you go on to do something else because he takes up space, and he's not a bad human being to them. I don't consider Milton over the top at all. I think it's one of my subtlest roles, actually. Even though it's a big character, it's done really small.
But I said I don't care if they lay me off either, because I told Bill that if they move my desk one more time, then I'm quitting. I'm going to quit. And I told Dom too, because they've moved my desk 4 times already this year.
The glasses literally were this thick. They were this thick. I couldn't see out of them without having contacts behind the thick glass. So I had contacts, the thick glasses, and the depth perception there was none. So anytime I had to reach for anything, I had to practice it because I couldn't tell whether it was here or it was here.
No, that's really not my job, and I haven't received my paycheck this week.
For now, why don't you go ahead and get yourself a flashlight and a can of pesticide.
Excuse me. Excuse me. But, okay, but that's the last straw.
Hello, Peter. Peter, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Hi, Milton. Peter, what's happening? Hi, Milton. Milton?
Yes.
What's happening?
You know, is basically always on some kind of chemical that, you know, won't allow him to go too quickly.
You're gonna have to talk to payroll about that. If you could just go ahead and make sure you do that from now on, that would be great. And I'll go ahead and make sure you get another copy of that memo.
He's either in control or maybe just slightly puzzled, you know, by the fact that somebody doesn't understand something.
Now, are you going to go ahead and have those TPS reports for us this afternoon?
No.
Yeah.
But just the fact that human beings are trained in the work world to not have to listen to, you know, we're not listening. You listen to me, and I just keep telling you what to do. It turns into Nazism.
I don't really think he cares about what anybody thinks of him because he knows that they can't do anything to him or challenge his authority. And that's when Peter does, I think it just kind of stops Lumberg's brain.
Look, I'm gonna have to ask you to go ahead and just come back another time. I got a meeting with the Bobs in a couple of minutes.
I wasn't aware of a meeting with them.
Yeah, they called me at home.
That sounds good, Peter. And we'll go ahead and get this all fixed up for you.
In the cartoon, I love the moment where Milton asks him something, and the cartoon version of Lumberg went, ooh.
Ooh, that's gonna be kind of tight on the overtime.
And so I said, Mike, can I put the ooh in that scene?
Ooh, yeah. I'm gonna have to go ahead and sort of disagree with you there.
The Tchotchke's manager, I ended up playing myself just because I had added that part late.
We need to talk about your flair.
I was in a Kinko's once, and I saw this guy, he had those kind of glasses and a mustache, and a real prick, I could tell. This girl working there, a really young girl, had a Diet Coke over here, and he comes by, and he's just kind of like, I want you to move that Coke. And then she's like, oh, why? And he goes, because I don't like it there. I like it over here.
People can get a cheeseburger anywhere, okay? They come to Tchotchkes for the atmosphere and the attitude.
Atmosphere and the attitude.
Mike has what you call "fuck you" money, right? So it's like when they say, "No, listen, we want you. We really have to change that." He has the ability to say, "Fuck you, I'm not going to do that."
I think Mike would have done it without the money too. That's what makes Mike badass, and that he should continue to do that. He's sitting on so much good material right now that if he sprung on anyone, I mean, like what he's actually holding back right now, you know, most comedic directors would just be destroyed and like writhing on the ground. The dude has tons of back files of stuff that will keep you in stitches for, like, you know, years on end. I've seen what Mike collects. You know, his like private video file is like, oh, you can't bust him out. He's mad funny.
The Lumberg thing was sort of my shtick for a while. I used to do that to our guitar player. He had injured his wrist or something, and so he was always asking me to help him carry his amp, and I would just always do this, yeah, I always love the passive-aggressive yeah that means no, where, you know, someone asks you for something, you yeah.
Mike tends to write the way that people spontaneously talk, and so it seems like they're spontaneously talking.
I was actually writing, yeah.
Maybe another yeah here and maybe a
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
I know Dave Herman put in the ass clown phrase.
Do you know how that got coined? I mean, because he couldn't say no talent. He couldn't say Michael Bolton was a no...
We can't call him a no-singing...
No talent...
asshole.
Non-singing asshole.
And the night before, I was out on a date with the woman who would someday become my ex-wife, and she had used the word ass clown out of nowhere. Because I was, you know, this had just recently happened, I was like, how about ass clown? And we just kind of fit it in there, and I love it.
Yeah, well, at least your name isn't Michael Bolton.
You know, there's nothing wrong with that name.
There was nothing wrong with it until I was about 12 years old, and that no-talent ass clown became famous and started winning Grammys.
Well, why don't you just go by Mike instead of Michael?
No way. Why should I change? He's the one who sucks.
I kind of know exactly what that is, but what the hell is an ass clown? I think there really is a release during that scene for everyone. That, you know, it's just like everybody knows that inanimate object that has like become so real and so much the object of hatred.
Back up in your ass with the resurrection. As the group harder than an erection that shows no affection. They want to ban us on Capitol Hill, 'cause it's
Mobsters have come up to me and said, you know, I love the way you did the printer. You know, it's very authentic. We had a guy there, I remember, who was like, you know, a tough stunt guy. You know, he's like, yeah, don't touch your friends with your hands. Use the bat to move them out of the way.
spineless, I'm going insane. My mind just goes out of control and touch on subjects motherfuckers read about. I touch on this, you motherfuckers feel full. Motherfuckers die, motherfuckers die, motherfuckers still full. Motherfuckers die.
In fact, I remember there being a moment where they were looking to try to get a PG-13, and I was like, no way. You know, I was like, no way. No way. I was like, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to curse up a blue streak in this movie. The fuck does that mean? Piece of shit. Money, little fucker, let's go. The fuck is that?
I'm an asshole. Nobody hangs up on me.
This is a fuck.
Become someone's bitch.
You guys can both eat my ass, okay?
But then they switched from the swing line to the Boston stapler, but I kept my swing line stapler because it didn't bind up as much.
I wanted it to be a bright enough color that it would stand out, that you would notice it. Swingline didn't make red staplers, so art department painted it.
They had 4 for the film. They burned one up, one for my desk, couple of backups. I stole a backup, so I've got one.
I guess Swingline, people kept calling in Swingline to try to order red staplers, and they say we don't make them, and they'd say, what about the one in the movie? And then people were selling these bootleg Swingline red staplers on eBay and making a lot of money, and so Swingline started making one, and now it's their top-selling stapler.
Oh, there it is.
What?
Here, let me just go ahead and get that from you. Great.
The way it played out was this very sort of, well, you know, very kung fu path of least resistance, where I just kind of sort of just, you know, angled right around him. That was one of my favorite bits to do. And believe it or not, we probably shot that thing 8 or 9 times to get the walking past him with the, you know, that just looked like he wasn't even really there.
So, Peter, what's happening? Listen,
who this movie's important to are people entering into that world, you know, about to walk the plank into those passive-aggressive workspaces, or people who are already waist deep in it.
You know, it saves people's ass at work. You know, I mean, I think that, like, a lot of people have to deal with exactly what office-based people are dealing with.
This isn't really a workplace comedy. It's kind of it's a comedy about authority.
But I think Office Space touched like the soft underbelly of corporate America. There's really nothing like it.
People are always trying to convince me. They're trying to convince me how important the movie is. They're generally going like, you don't understand. It's not just my office that speaks in Office Space speak. It's the entire office plaza. Or it's very different. It's like they feel like they've found this movie and nobody else knows about it. And it's like, oh my God, this is, I mean, nothing feels better than that. That you're actually mirroring someone's life like that.
Fucking A. Fucking A.